And the story of Bonhoeffer is kind of simple. This is a German pastor, incredibly brilliant, who early on saw the evil of the Nazis. Now, it's so easy for us to go like, well, what's there to see? We all know the Nazis are evil. No. Most Germans at the time had no clue when the Nazis were beginning to take power who they really were. Nobody could dream of the Holocaust and the death camps. Trust me when I tell you, they couldn't dream of it. So they're kind of going along and going along. So Bonhoeffer was one of those voices who he knew what he knew, and he was trying to wake up the church, right?
Yeah.
So Bonhoeffer was kind of sticking his neck out, and he was surrounded by, there were a number of others in the so-called confessing church who were with him. But as the evil progressed, he continued to see even the good guys just thinking, well, I don't want to die on that hill, or I don't want to die on that hill. So he was a voice as a pastor trying to wake up the church, because he knew, just as we know today, the Lord has appointed the church to be the voice of the nation, to be the conscience of the nation. So you can complain all you want about this and that. The Lord is going to hold us accountable.
Yes.
The pagans aren't going to be held accountable, okay? We are the ones that are supposed to know. We claim to believe, think of this, that Jesus defeated death. So we're supposed to be so free, we don't fear death. We're supposed to live totally differently than the world.
Right.
And so the Lord expects us to be fearless and to speak the truth. When people tell you, don't talk about that, don't talk about that. It's like, what are you talking about? Of course I'm going to talk about that.
Right.
So the fact is, Bonhoeffer was trying to wake up the church, but he saw that they were slow to act. The Lord often goes outside the church, and Bonhoeffer just saw the church waffling. The liberals are waffling, the conservatives are waffling. They all have good reasons to kind of keep their head down, right? But he sees pagans saying, I'm going to stand up against Hitler. I mean, his brother, who was not really a believer, gets involved in the plot against Hitler. And he sees these others, and he finally realizes, I need to, in a sense, go outside the church and get involved in the plot against Hitler, ultimately to kill Hitler, because he just thought, God is not going to let me sit on my hands and say, well, I'm going to have a quiet time, I'm going to pray. The Lord says, yeah, well, I expect you to pray, but I also expect you to act.
Yes.
I expect you to do what you can. If a kid's about to get hit by a car, you don't say, you know what, I'm going to have a really solid quiet time right now. No, you're going to scream, get out of the road.
Right.
And so Bonhoeffer was trying to live that out. Eventually, he gets involved in the plot to kill Hitler, and it's a long story, but the point is, he is executed by the Nazis in 1945. He is a martyr of the faith. He's a hero. And when my book came out, and when I talk about this, everybody goes like, that's so great, that's so great. Well, I believe the Lord led me prophetically to write that book for such a time as this, to say to the church, exactly what happened to the German church here is happening to the American church now. And if you don't speak up, it's the famous quote, we don't know who said it, but it's often attributed to Bonhoeffer, that silence in the face of evil is itself evil. God will not hold us guiltless. Not to speak is to speak, not to act is to act. So if you say like, well, you know what, I don't want to say who I'm going to vote for, or I don't want to talk about that issue, or I don't want to, because I want people to like me, I just want to preach the gospel. God is not buying that lie. That's a lie. That's a fig leaf, you know, designed to cover something up that basically says, like, I'm going to fool God with this statement that I just care about preaching the gospel. The Lord commands us, you know, obedience is better than sacrifice. When he calls you to speak the truth, don't tell him you're going to preach the gospel. Speak the truth.